Samantha. I can't think of it. It's a Hispanic name. Ain't his real name, no. But carry on. Oh my goodness. It keep almost about to come. I think that's that chocolate crown that won't let it come on out. Bodega. Bodega. Jose Bodega. Him that had that same description as Sean G. One of them two hopped out on the back of the freeway behind that 18-wheeler. And we wouldn't have never considered Sean G had his third piece, his three-piece, yeah, that pink thing on YouTube that called herself trying to get in where she fit in, went and started pulling paperwork and shit, yeah, and came up with that description of a guy who hopped out behind the 18-wheeler, yeah, and started shooting, and that may have been the bullet that took out Mo3. We not gonna forget that. He was dark skinned, brother, 200 some, almost 300 pounds. He hopped out of a black vehicle shooting at Mo3. But carry on. All I'm saying is, since Sean G been out of prison, on hell, he went to about 2 or 3 of them, didn't he? And since then, about a couple of few big old shootouts, huh? Okay, but carry on. Let's go.
Silence. Someone has to speak plainly without asking permission.
Silence. Oh yeah, that's what they were supposed to remain silent. But hell, it sounds like everybody snitching. Okay, now I'm shifting gears back. I'm going back to first gear. I was way on 5th gear over there, overdrive. Woo, I was way over there. But did George Clooney snitch on Trump? Huh? Everybody snitching. Everybody snitching. George Clooney said, I'm gonna give a statement and then I'm gonna get the hell up out of the U.S. as long as Trump is in charge. Yeah, now look at this picture right here, y'all. Look at the background. That's that reptilian. You see, you can't see his eyes? Yeah, that's that snake. That's that alien. I need for y'all to pay attention to them eyes. When his eyes start getting small and you can barely see, that ain't really Trump. Stay woke. Let's go.
We are anonymous.
We are
no
anonymous.
Faces, no handlers, no permission slips. We exist because when institutions hesitate and power expects silence, someone has to speak.
What you are about to hear.
A set of permission. What you are about to hear is a story about a judge, a set of
Oh, y'all, 389 in here, ear hustling to the T. I'm about to drop on Dallas and Hollywood, whatever. But it's only 3 likes. I need for y'all to double tap. Double tap now. Get out. Early. Double tap the face of your phone. If you're ear hustling, eavesdropping, whatever it is that you call yourself doing, double tap the face of your phone device or hit the 3 dots at the very top right corner. Come on, the tea is hot. Can't you hear the excitement in my voice? This is not the chocolate crown. This is, I done slept that off, boo-boo. This is excitement because there's a shift in the atmosphere. Let me say that again. There is a shift in the atmosphere. Let's go. So the judge, because you know, yesterday we talked about them judge where they was being rude and disrespectful, and the judge gave a warning like, look at here, you keep playing with me, I'ma put you out today. But if you keep playing with me, I'ma put your ass in contempt and put you in jail. Now, I know you think that you are above the law, but the word on the street on January 1st, 2026, that you, DT, are not above the law. I hope this is true. Yeah, because you need to have an understanding that your days are numbered. You was playing with minors, and you are not going to get a pass. I know you think it's going to go away, but it's not. We are on your ass. And we ain't getting off. You understand? So don't come in here with all that he number one. He's the number one pedo. He's the number one PDFer of children, women, and men. He's a sick F-U-C. Yeah. Let's go.
About a judge, a set of emails that were hidden behind black bars, and a Justice Department under Trump that is now being forced to explain itself in open court. This is the Abrego Garcia case, and the late in open court. This is the Abrego Garcia case.
Oh yeah, he's sure in trouble for that.
And a Justice Department under Trump that is now being forced to explain itself in open court. This is the Abrego Garcia case, and the late-breaking development is that a federal judge has unsealed an order that used to be heavily redacted. Once those redactions came off the timeline, snapped into focus, and it gets hard to avoid one basic question. Did Trump...
So you mean they can redact the redacted? So he's officially getting unredacted on purpose. Oh Lord, I know he done had a bowel movement, y'all. I know that diaper runneth over. The shit runneth over. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thy shit runneth over. I wonder what verse is that.
Snapped into focus, and it gets hard to avoid one basic question. Did Trump's Department of Justice used to be heavily redacted?
Woo!
Once those redactions came off, has unsealed an order that used to be heavily redacted. Once those redactions came off the timeline, snapped into focus, and it gets hard to avoid one basic question. Did Trump's Department of Justice mislead the judge about who was really calling the shots? Here is the core of what is happening.
Now listen, this AI right here is a fool. Y'all see this hair that this AI done gave this clown?
Trump's Department.
Look at that toupee wig. There go his real hair, y'all. Yeah, I heard that stench is bad. I heard you can smell that shit like cow manure all the way down the pasture. He have a whole boo-boo handler on the set of Apprentice. Ain't I said, baby? Oh my God. I see why that show got canceled. It got canceled because he could not hold his shit together. That was a good one, y'all. Y'all got it. Oh my God. He couldn't hold his shit together. Lord, AunTeaFee. Lord, I'm going to put my own self on time.
Once those redactions came off the timeline, snapped into focus, and it gets hard to avoid one basic question. Did Trump's Department of Justice mislead the judge about who was really calling the shots? Here is the core of what is happening. Judge Waverly Crenshaw is trying to determine
I wouldn't want to run into Aaron, baby.
That phrase sounds technical, but the idea is simple. Is the government bringing charges as payback, retaliation, or political cover, rather than because the normal independent process led there? The judge is looking at whether new criminal charges were filed because Abrego Garcia was winning on constitutional due process grounds in a different court in Maryland.
In this case, we had a judge in Maryland tell us that, oh no, there's not any evidence that he's a member of MS-13. You had no right to deport him.
Doesn't work anymore.
What should we do as a Department of Justice when the judge is accusing us of doing something wrong? We have an obligation to everybody, including you, to investigate it. And that's exactly what we did. And so the reason why he was returned and the facilitation that brought him back here,
They
it's not a
said they
judge,
tortured
it's an
this
arrest
man.
warrant issued by a grand jury from the Middle District of Tennessee, charging him with 2 counts of very serious charges involving 9 years of smuggling aliens.
And whether Trump's Justice Department decided to answer those losses by opening a new front through prosecutors in the Middle District of Tennessee. In other words, did the machinery of prosecution get used as a weapon to reverse the momentum of a legal defeat? And the reason this suddenly matters more today is because the judge is no longer looking at vague suspicions. He is looking at email references that point to coordination from Washington, even though Main Justice told him the opposite. According to what you were given, the Department of Justice looked the judge in the eye and told him with a straight face that personnel in Washington were not coordinating with local prosecutors about the indictment.
We have the unsealing of an order by Judge Crenshaw in which, if you read the new emails that are referred to by the judge, there's no other conclusion that you can reach than the Department of Justice and Main Justice in Washington, including Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, and the Principal Deputy Attorney General, including Emil Bovee, and a guy by the name of Akash Singh, have all lied to Judge Crenshaw, who's trying to figure out whether there's been actual vindictive prosecution.
They claimed they were as surprised as anyone when the indictment came out. They claimed the decision was made locally and that the court did not need testimony from the top leadership in Washington. Names were waved away. Senior officials were treated like irrelevant background noise. The story was nothing to see here, purely local. But then the judge unsealed the order. And once the order was unsealed, the references to the emails told a different story. A story that explains why the judge, in the last couple of days, canceled the trial and set an evidentiary hearing instead. Because once a judge believes there is a credible claim of vindictive prosecution, the government has to carry a burden. They have to prove the decision was not retaliatory. They have to show their process. They have to answer the court's questions. And if the government tries to do that while keeping Washington out of it, the judge is essentially saying, I have seen the emails. Good luck. Let's walk through the timeline exactly as it was laid out for you, because this is where Trump's DOJ starts looking cornered. It begins with April 10, 2025.
Really? You be the judge. You ready? April 20, let's start in April 10th, 2025.
That is the date your source says. The United States Supreme Court affirmed the decision related to Abrego Garcia in Maryland about habeas corpus and due process rights. Your source describes it as a 9-0 win. The meaning in plain terms is that Abrego Garcia was winning legal ground in Maryland. He was winning on due process. He was gaining leverage, and Trump's administration did not like that.
The United States Supreme Court affirms the decision related to Abrego Garcia in Maryland about his habeas corpus and due process rights. He wins 9-0. April 27th, McGuire, who is the local prosecutor, receives a file on Abrego. Akash Singh.
Then on April 27th, Robert McGuire, described as the local prosecutor, receives a file on Abrego Garcia.
Let's go.
And immediately, you see Washington enter the picture. A senior official in Washington, Akash Singh, emails requesting time to discuss Abrego's cooperating witness with assistant attorneys in multiple places, including Tennessee, Alabama, and Texas. This is
Y'all hit the like button.
Garcia in
Double tap the face of your screen. Get the likes up.
Maryland about habeas corpus and due process rights. Your source describes it as a 9-0 win. The meaning in plain terms is that Abrego Garcia was winning legal ground in Maryland. He was winning on due process. He was gaining leverage.
And they got
Trump's
mad.
administration did not like that.
The United States Supreme Court affirms the decision related to Abrego Garcia in Maryland about his habeas corpus and due process rights. He wins 9-0.
He was
April 27th, McGuire, who is the local prosecutor, receives a file on Abrego. Akash Singh.
Then on April
That's the
27th, Robert Maguire, described as the local prosecutor, receives a file on Abrego Garcia. And immediately you see Washington enter the picture. A senior official in Washington, Akash Singh, emails requesting time to discuss Abrego's cooperating witness with assistant attorneys in multiple places, including Tennessee, Alabama, and Texas. This is described as a Washington supervisor reaching out to local prosecutors across state lines. That does not look like local independence. That looks like coordination. On April 28th, Singh receives the Tennessee Highway Patrol report on Abrego Garcia. The report is described as being from 4 years earlier, from a traffic stop where he was not even given a ticket for a tail light violation. But now, in the framing you were given, he is being treated as something far more severe because he had 7 people in the car. The story being constructed is that he is a human trafficker. That is the pivot. A minor stop becomes a foundation stone for serious charges.
2 days later, Akash Singh receives an email from the Assistant Attorneys General in Tennessee, Alabama, and Texas regarding Abrego's cooperating witness. April 30th, same day, emails between Akash Singh, McGuire, and Jacob Warren, another prosecutor, 2 prosecutors in Tennessee, regarding criminal charges arising from the November 2022
On April
Abrego
30th,
traffic.
Singh receives an email from assistant attorneys in Tennessee, Alabama, and Texas regarding Abrego's cooperating witness. Then the same day, there are emails between Singh McGuire and another prosecutor, Jacob Warren, about criminal charges arising from the November 2022 Abrego traffic stop. And this is the key line. Singh writes, it's a top priority. Top priority. Not routine, not casual, not one file among many. Top priority. And the way it is described, it is not just top priority for the local office. It is top priority from the high command in Washington. The local prosecutor then says something that is hard to walk back. He says he wants the high command looped in. The words matter because those words are not the language of a local prosecutor acting alone. That is the language of someone who knows this is being watched from above. Then comes May 15th. McGuire writes about a possible Abrego indictment. He says he would hope to have the office of the Deputy Attorney General ODAG eyes on it as they move toward a decision about whether the matter will be charged. He says while the office's decision to charge will ultimately land on him, it makes sense to get the benefit of all of Washington's brains and talent. Then he adds the line that reads like a quiet confession. He says he has not received specific direction from ODAG, but he has heard anecdotally that the Deputy Attorney General and the Principal Deputy Attorney General would like Garcia charged sooner rather than later. Read that slowly. He is telling Washington, I have heard what you want. You want it sooner rather than later. Now ask yourself what that means if you are a judge. If the leadership in Washington wants someone charged sooner rather than later, how independent is the local judgment? How free is the local prosecutor's decision? If the boss wants a result and you know it, and you write it down, you are not operating in a vacuum. You are operating under pressure. 3 days later, May 18th, Singh receives an email update on the indictment. The message says they are working over the weekend to finalize an indictment they will send to Washington tomorrow night or first thing Monday. That matters because it shows the indictment is being routed through Washington. It is being reported up. It is being reviewed. It is being managed.
An update on the Abrego indictment. We're working over the weekend to finalize an indictment that we will send to you, Mr. Singh, in the ODAG, the Office of Deputy Attorney General in Washington, tomorrow night or first thing Monday. Yep. Wait, I'm not done.
Then May 20th, Singh requests a memo from McGuire and others.
May 20th, 2 days later, Akash Singh requests a memo from McGuire and others. And then May 21, Abrego is indicted by a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee.
And May 21st, Abrego Garcia is indicted by a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee. That is the chain your source lays out. And it is exactly why Judge Crenshaw appears to have lost patience with the government's attempt to keep the hearing narrow. The government wanted to present witnesses who were not in Washington as if Washington did not matter. But the email references say Washington was in the room, even if they were not physically in Nashville. Washington was steering, even if they were not signing the local paperwork. And this is where Trump gets dragged into the story, the way he always does. He turns every institution into a loyalty test. He turns every legal process into a battlefield, and he turns the Justice Department into something that resembles a political shield and a political sword at the same time. The claim here is that Abrego Garcia was shipped to El Salvador illegally, and that after court pressure, including a Supreme Court order, the administration wanted a mechanism to bring him back and keep him in custody. So the prosecution becomes the mechanism, the indictment becomes the hook, the arrest warrant becomes the justification. Not a correction of wrongdoing, but a workaround designed to protect the administration and punish the person who is winning in court. Your source also highlights the judge's interest in a televised statement by Todd Blanche. In that clip, Blanche links the Maryland judge's criticism to what DOJ did next. He frames it as an obligation to investigate, and then he says the reason Abrego Garcia was returned was not just a judge order, but an arrest warrant issued by a grand jury in Tennessee, charging him with 2 serious counts involving years of smuggling people across the country. The way it is presented, that statement becomes the bridge connecting the due process fight in Maryland with the prosecution in Tennessee. It suggests motive. It suggests retaliation. It suggests prosecution as an answer to a judge who embarrassed the administration. Now here is why this is dangerous. Because if the government tells a federal judge there was no coordination, and then emails suggest there was coordination, the judge starts thinking about more than vindictive prosecution. The judge starts thinking about honesty to the court. The judge starts thinking about whether the government played games with disclosure, whether the court was misled, whether decisions were being laundered through a local office to create the illusion of independence. And once a judge thinks that, the government is no longer controlling the narrative.